Imagine this. Every year, the quiet Christmas island in the Indian Ocean undergoes an incredible metamorphosis. Its green landscapes literally come alive and start to move. This marks the beginning of the Great Migration of the red crabs, one of the most spectacular wildlife shows on the planet. Some 50 to 65 million bright scarlet land crabs, Gecarcoidea natalis, simultaneously emerge from their forest burrows and head for the ocean. Roads, beaches, and even the yards of local residents transform into a bubbling red river flowing with incredible determination. This is not a chaotic movement, but a meticulously orchestrated biological ballet that lasts for several weeks. The uniqueness of this phenomenon lies in its scale and precision. The crabs begin their march with the first rains of the monsoon season, typically in October or November. Nature has endowed them with an internal clock synchronized with the lunar cycle. The females must reach the coast precisely at the moment of the low tide during the last quarter of the moon. This ensures perfect conditions for releasing their eggs into the ocean waters. During this great migration, life on the island grinds to a halt. Local authorities close roads and install special tunnels and bridges for the crabs' safe passage, while residents patiently wait for this amazing natural ritual to conclude, demonstrating a stunning example of harmony between humans and wildlife. The red crab, Gecarcoidea natalis, is not just an inhabitant, but the true master of Christmas Island. As an endemic species, it is not found anywhere else in the world in the wild. This large land crab, with a carapace width of up to 116 millimeters, has a remarkable feature. Although it is a terrestrial species, its gills must remain constantly moist. Therefore, it is forced to hide from the scorching sun deep within the tropical forest, where it digs complex burrow systems among the tangled tree roots and forest floor litter. Feeding primarily on fallen leaves, fruits, and flowers, the red crab acts as a natural composto. It not only accelerates the decomposition of organic matter but also regulates soil acidity, creating ideal conditions for the growth of the island's unique flora. Scientists have determined that during the rainy season, the crabs consume up to 70% of the forest litter, literally sweeping the forest and preventing the spread of fungal diseases. Their burrows also serve as important channels for soil aeration and moisture distribution. To maintain the necessary humidity levels, the crabs have developed a clever strategy. During the dry season, they seal their burrow entrances with a mixture of leaves and clay, creating a microclimate inside with up to 90% humidity. Interestingly, these land creatures have retained a connection to the ocean. It is there they go to reproduce, demonstrating an amazing navigational ability to traverse up to 5 kilometers across complex terrain. This dual nature makes them true symbols of the fragile balance of the island ecosystem. The great exodus of the red crabs is not a random event, but a perfected mechanism for procreation, honed by millennia of evolution. The sole purpose of this grand journey is to give life to a new generation. To ensure the survival of the species, the crabs must release their eggs into the ocean at the precise moment when a whole set of perfect conditions for larval development coincide. This process is triggered by two key natural factors. With the arrival of the rainy season in October-November, the island transforms. The monsoons not only moisten the soil and air, saving the crabs from desiccation during their long journey, but also soften the ground, easing the movement of millions of individuals. The rains also create an optimal temperature regime, which is critically important for cold-blooded animals. The second and most precise timekeeper is the lunar cycle. Scientists have discovered that egg-laying occurs with incredible precision, exclusively during the high tide in the last quarter of the moon. It is during this phase that the difference between high and low tide is minimal, creating calm conditions near the shore for releasing the eggs. Simultaneously, ocean currents engage, carrying the larvae away to plankton-rich waters, giving them the best possible start for development. This synchronization with cosmic rhythms is a true evolutionary masterpiece, where the slightest miscalculation could cost an entire generation its life. The red crab migration is not a single event, but a complex, multi-stage process where each phase follows a strict biological schedule. The first to begin their journey, with the start of the rainy season, are the males. They leave their forest shelters en masse and move towards the ocean in a unified stream. Covering distances of up to 5 to 6 kilometers, the crabs cross roads, rocky slopes, and beaches, demonstrating remarkable determination. Their movement continues almost without stopping, both day and night. Upon reaching the coast, the males take up positions in the intertidal zone, awaiting the arrival of the females. The next phase begins with the arrival of the females at the sea. Mass mating occurs on coastal rocks and in stream estuaries, the culmination of the reproductive cycle. Interestingly, after fulfilling their mission, the males, exhausted from the long trek, immediately begin their return journey, leaving the females to carry out the next, most crucial stage. The fertilized females remain in the coastal zone, where they dig special burrows in the sand. Here, over the course of 12 to 13 days, the eggs develop within their abdominal cavity. The scale of this process is staggering. Each individual carries up to 100,000 eggs, creating a colossal reproductive potential for the continuation of the species. The culmination of the entire migration is the moment the eggs are released. In the pre-dawn hours, during the strictly defined high tide of the moon's last quarter, the females gather en masse at the water's edge. Climbing onto coastal rocks, they synchronously release millions of eggs into the ocean, performing characteristic rocking movements with their abdomens. The water literally changes color, turning into the famous red tide. This impressive spectacle lasts only a few minutes, after which the exhausted females begin their return journey to the forest, concluding one of the most grand reproductive cycles in the animal kingdom. The most dangerous stage of the red crab's life begins after the eggs enter the ocean. Out of the millions of eggs released, microscopic zoea larvae immediately hatch and drift as part of the plankton for the next 3 to 4 weeks. During this time, they are almost defenseless. Most fall prey to filter-feeding animals, from whale sharks and manta rays to small fish. Only a tiny fraction survives, but thanks to the phenomenal number of eggs, this proves sufficient to maintain the population. The few larvae that survive undergo a remarkable metamorphosis. They transform into semi-transparent megalopa crabs no larger than 5 millimeters. At a specific moment, guided by an ancient instinct, billions of these tiny creatures simultaneously head for the shore. At this time, the coastal waters and beaches of the island literally come alive. It seems as if the very earth is moving, covered in a continuous carpet of shimmering dots. However, the journey to their ancestral home proves no less dangerous than their ocean voyage. The small crabs must overcome the same obstacles as their parents, but in the reverse direction. On land, new enemies await them: predatory birds, lizards, aggressive bulldog ants, and civets introduced by humans. Human infrastructure poses a particular threat. Roads become insurmountable barriers for myriads of migrants. The few that reach the forest floor will hide under fallen leaves for several more years, gradually changing color from transparent to the familiar bright red, until one day they join the great exodus and continue the eternal cycle of life. With the arrival of humans on Christmas Island, the red crabs gained a new, unprecedented enemy: automobile traffic. Roads built across age-old migration routes became sites of mass animal death. During peak activity, thousands of individuals were killed by car wheels daily, creating a real threat to the unique ecosystem. This situation demanded urgent and unconventional solutions from the local authorities. A whole system of protective measures, unparalleled in the world, was developed. During the mass migration, key highways are completely closed. The authorities publish special schedules in advance, which become a guide for residents and tourists. But the most innovative solution has been the famous crab bridges and underground tunnels. These plastic structures, stretching over and under busy roads, allow millions of crabs to continue their journey safely. Over time, these structures have become not only a functional solution but also a landmark of the island, attracting ecotourists. Simultaneously, active educational work is being carried out. Through awareness campaigns, local ecologists explain the crucial role crabs play in the island's ecosystem, how these animals maintain forest health by recycling organic matter and aerating the soil. Tourists receive special leaflets with guidelines on how to behave during the migration. However, anthropogenic threats were not the only ones. A much more insidious enemy turned out to be the invasive yellow crazy ant, accidentally introduced to the island. Forming giant supercolonies, these ants attack crabs by spraying formic acid into their eyes and joints. Young individuals are especially vulnerable during their return migration from the ocean. The fight against this invasive species has become a separate focus within the Red Crab Conservation Program, demonstrating both the fragility of the island ecosystem's balance and the need for a comprehensive approach to its protection. The Great Migration of the red crabs on Christmas Island is a grand natural spectacle where the leading roles are played by millions of scarlet creatures driven by the ancient instinct of procreation. This phenomenon is astounding not only for its scale but also for its incredible synchronization with nature's rhythms, from the first drops of the rainy season that start the procession to the lunar cycles that determine its climax at the ocean shore. The final chord of this grand performance is the return to land, the most perilous journey of the microscopic young crabs, overcoming the same obstacles their parents faced. This entire cycle, from the first step of the adult crabs to the final effort of their offspring, represents one of the most amazing and fragile wonders of the wild. It reminds us of the invisible bonds that unite all living things and of our responsibility to preserve these unique phenomena for future generations. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. This will greatly help the channel and help more people see this video.